This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Are you serious? Like, we at season 7, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Yeah, season 7. Magic number. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna go in depth with that, but yeah, this will be a very positive season. I don't know why and what's making me say that, but everything's changed. Everything is a lot different. I know the title you'll still see the podcast about sports and stuff, but yeah, I ain't gonna get no sports. I'm still, like I said, stuff is very fluctuating now. I found that the connection with things is to get people to talk, as well as me taking time to talk. So you'll notice it, especially when you hear the first few episodes of this season. But it's just about sitting down and just having good talk, good conversation. Pass the message. Y'all know they ain't going nowhere. If you know, you know. If you've been around for a while, you already know how we give it up. But just hang in there. The content's amazing. The moves are even more amazing. And just put yourself in the right headspace to get this information. So hope y'all enjoy. What's going on, y'all? What's good? How's everyone doing? Somewhat of an impromptu podcast. I'll get into it a little bit later, but got a new show. So we've hit our weekly mark and got some things to unpack and some stuff to talk about. Back at my normal spot where I would usually record. Haven't recorded here in a while. Well, recorded here 2 episodes ago, but who's counting? I think I almost want to say I'm oddly cursed. Let me not say cursed. Let me backtrack. I have unique instances when attempting to record here goes different. So I'm put in a position to follow the rules and the show must go on. So here we are. With all of that being said, before I start, this is not a paid sponsor. This is not to publicize anything out of the norm, but I kind of ran into a funny yet honest dilemma where I was trying to, anyone who knows me knows I am a professional, and I don't know if this is really a real term, but I consider myself to be a fidgeter. I'm very fidgety by default. And sometimes it can be so out of control that I literally don't even know how much I'm doing it, how much of an impact it is. So normally my counteraction to being fidgety is I will have a fidget cube. I used to have the fiddle stick, which apparently every fiddle stick that I've owned, I've pretty much given away. The ones that I thought I had left, every time I go somewhere, somehow they never seem to make it back. But nonetheless, I also recently, as you've heard me talk about on the show numerous times, I'm a user and fan of the Ono roller. Well, none of those left the house with me today. So as I was leaving from one place, which I'm doing some studying, which I'm going to get into that in a moment as well. But in the process of, finishing up studying, I was like, I need to get what I've always, anyone who's been listening to my shows, even if you don't hear it, you always hear me talk about the impact or the usage of the infamous koosh ball. And this case is no exception. So I was like, all right, I need to find a koosh ball. The problem is you can't find them really at a local store like you normally would. My attempt of trying to find it was not very successful. Now, let me be clear. It does not mean, and I'm saying it's not hard to find or it's not as big of a challenge, but in my normal attempts of trying to find it, I could just easily go and say Target or Walmart. They have them locally in stock. and either do a ship to store or just take a drive and go pick it up. This time that was not the case, so I was on a pursuit to find what I define as a koosh ball. Lo and behold, GameStop had what is considered a similar brand of a koosh ball, and it is called the Jaru, Jaru supersized silicone bandy ball fidget toy. It's almost like a super hyped up name of the koosh ball from its initial origin. And when I saw this, I was like, definitely not what I expected, but I'm not mad because it fits the description. The only other alternative, which I'm looking at now, I don't even think this is the same thing. They got them in different colors. The closest option that I would have gotten would have been at Walmart, which was a little bit less pricey, but it's probably a smaller size. They call theirs the Nido Shaggy Squeeze Ball Novelty Toy. Hey y'all, real quick, since I'm thinking about it and while I have the opportunity, I just did the podcast. This is going to be inserted into what's there. And I talked about the Nido product. I didn't realize that the Nido is the one, if any of you remember the toy, where if you squeeze it real tight, it looks like it's got the little, it'll almost look like it's an added side ball or something like that to it. It's nothing nasty, nothing paws, and none of that. It's how it's designed. If you go to Walmart's site and you look at the images, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So to kind of make it clear, it's not the same as the traditional koosh ball or the other one that I'm sharing. So I'm probably only going to give the link to the one that GameStop has because it looks like it's kind of almost like a few in stock type of thing. So just want to make sure I gave clarity on that before going any further, but I will let y'all get right on back to the podcast. So I'm going to put a mark for both of these if you are in that I need something as a quick fidget fix. This one I got from GameStop was $7, and for the size of it, it's not a bad trade-off. I kind of had to get out of my head because it was assorted. When it said assorted colors, I thought, okay, I could probably go in there. They might have one that's all red, all blue, whatever. This one has basically it's colors of the rainbow, which it's not that big of a deal. I'm not even in that type of space to even trip about it. But yeah, so this is my fidget accessory for the day, as well as this fidget accessory will stay in my tech bag in the event of me having to do any tech related things outside of what I normally would do work wise. So I'm keeping this is definitely useful, and it's been useful for the last 5+ minutes. So yeah, that's that for that. Before doing all of these things, before even getting here to do the podcast, I got up and started doing some crunch learning for something big that's coming up. I talked about it a little bit, but I didn't talk about it. So I'm kind of going to do a inadvertent unpack, to say the least. And I'm saying I haven't talked about it, but the reality is I have talked about it. There may be some doors possibly opening. I don't want to give too much away publicly on mic, but I will say that I'm taking advantage of the opportunities as they come. And why that's important and why I'm sharing that is because I know my appetite is on a different level based on the time that I'm dedicating to preparation, to organization, to structure, to routine, to things that others would normally be looking for me to do. I'm not as open to doing because I just know what my priorities are right now. And sometimes that happens. It's not that you can't get the other things done that you need to get done. It's just about knowing what your priority is or what your matter at hand is. And right now, I definitely know what my matter at hand is. I know what my focal point is, and I know what I'm trying to put time into. So that's been kind of my heavyweight champion, or my heavyweight push and pull right now to work on, which we've all been down that road. And sometimes people got to see you not be on the grid to know that you're making some moves and making some action. So that's pretty much where I'm at and what's been going on in that regard. So without saying too much in depth, I'm learning kind of giving myself a crash course in C#. Once I'm finished that, I'm going to do a crash course on some Java as well as Python, which they'll all likely be interchangeable. I'm about halfway through the C#, which was eye-opening because my initial way that I was going to do it was through reading, which the reading was working, but I think based on what I was trying to do coding-wise, it wasn't coming up the way I wanted. So I was like, all right, I got to go to what I know. Anyone who has heard me say this, I'm a huge advocate of YouTube University. So if you can find something, if a video's there that can explain it, go for it. So been just working on that. Between the recording, between the editing, between the downtime, or following the downtime of recording the following day, which was literally like 2 days ago, I had a conversation that I needed to have. And I didn't expect that I would talk about this on the platform or on the podcast, but we're here. If you've been listening to my show, y'all know I'm very open and very honest in dialogue and whatever I talk about, because anyone that's been keeping up with the podcast can be aware that I don't have a reason not to be vulnerable with this space. Someone shared this with me before, and I'm beginning to realize it more and more that this is my outlet. This is my therapy, including the therapy that I naturally do. But this is my place where I can really unpack and get into a deeper dialogue with certain things that I normally wouldn't talk about in various forms or in various places. And I've realized that personally, I spend a lot of energy seeking approval. I don't need approval because I know I'm good at what I do. This is not me being cocky. This is not me being arrogant. This is me being truthfully transparent. I'm beyond aware of how talented and how skillful I am with a lot of the things that I'm able to do and have a knack for doing. I put so many walls in front of myself that it's not beneficial in the long run when placing those walls. Ironically, as a fan of Kendrick Lamar, one of his songs goes into If These Walls Could Talk. And it's a whole lot that would be said based on the walls that I place that don't even need to be placed. I say all of that to say that the conversation kind of woke up the giant. You know, I've listened to people tell me constantly about the book Tame Your Beast, which I still need to read that book. But more than anything, just putting myself in the driver's seat and not talking about things. No one wants to hear what you're going to do. People want to see what you're doing and see that it's getting done. No one needs to see, earlier someone said this. Now, earlier I did this and it was interesting because I didn't have to. I put a picture of me out, working on coding while I'm also writing code and listening to a video talking about coding while I'm actually doing the code live. And in the back of my head, I was like, no one needs to really see, seeing this is cool, but it's not something that needs to make a major staple. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be something that I'm doing. And once the accomplishment is achieved, then, the celebration begins. So I'm definitely putting more time into the reflection, into the assessment, into the what is, what could be, what should be, what I need to work on, what I know I want to work on, what I'm capable of doing, the knowledge base, the mindset, etc. The list goes on and on. So I say all of that again to just make it clear that it's game time. And I don't need to put anything else behind it. It's just me having to get what I need to get done. So I'm going to talk about, as you can see by the title, it does say pre-All-Star pod. I'm going to talk about the All-Star game. It's kind of tough to really give any dialogue on the All-Star game. Fingers crossed I may have a part 2 of this, but I don't want to get ahead of anything because I have to see where and how the script plays out for that portion occurring. So I won't talk about the actual All-Star game. I will talk about what I gathered from Friday and what I gathered from Saturday. And then I have a subscription story that I'm going to share, as well as a pass the message. So it'll be wordy as usual, but I don't expect this one to be as wordy, to say the least. So Friday night, good amount of people were there to play. It was interesting when they did like a drawing or a part of the game where each team could unlock a player who was previously in the NBA. So Giannis's team got Carlos Boozer, and the other team was able to get Richard Jefferson, which ironically enough, Richard Jefferson refereed for a part of the game as well as played in the game, and he did commentary. So it was like he did, as he called it on his page, he did the trifecta, which I thought was pretty cool. From my so Giannis's team, which I think was Team Wade, ended up winning the game. The highlight of the big story tonight was seeing Janelle Monáe attempt to play basketball because she was all over the place. I think she was just happy to be out there, and she enjoyed it. Like, it was a first time moment for her. It was even referenced to her as far as like they showed her practicing before the building up to the tournament or building up to the game. And she has on like the red shoes that everybody's been talking about, the mischief shoes. And all in all, it was cool. It was fun to watch. DK Metcalf was the MVP. He was doing his thing. Like, I think we realized, or a lot of us realize, that he's athletic, but we don't realize how athletic he is. Because they even showed like a video where this infamous post always comes up where someone does something that you least expect, and it's like, oh, we need to drug test him. And they literally was showing like how he went to just kind of jump up for a catch, and it was off of 1 foot. And I'm just like, this dude is freakishly athletic. Going into Saturday, before I talk about the late games, rewind. Friday, after the Celebrity All-Star game, there was the Rising Stars. Rising Stars was actually kind of dope this year because what they did was they were able to give different players in game like a microphone to kind of talk while they were playing. And so the first game was Jose Alvarado doing commentary, like he was talking to the analyst while he was playing and kind of going through like what he's seeing, how he sees the floor and stuff like that. His was pretty cool. Josh Giddey, on the other hand, I got a lot of respect for him now. Like, I've had respect for his game anyway, but now I really have respect for his game. And I've heard this be said before. And fans of basketball fans of basketball versus leisurely, like casual fans of basketball need to separate in being aware of this. Being a fan of the sport does not mean unpacking and breaking down stats. Anybody can do that. A fan is able to look at a player's game and see things that don't show up on the box score. Like, Josh Giddey threw a lot of good passes that were just perfect zip passes to his teammates in the game. You can tell, and this is early projection. I could be 100% wrong with what I'm about to say. He has to get out of OKC only because OKC is not going to use him the way that he should be used because you already got Shai. Shai basically is doing what Josh Giddey is doing. So you're having like two guards kind of playing combative of each other's style of basketball. Why is that relevant and what does that have to do with anything? It has to do with a lot because, one, Shai is playing in the All-Star game tonight. Two, Josh, I give him 3 or 4 years, we will see him in an All-Star game. I think he's making the case and showing that he can play the game. Scotty Barnes looked pretty good. Mac McClung gave a bit of a preview of some things he can do for the G League Ignite team before they unfortunately were eliminated, but he's gonna be a problem, and I'm gonna get into that in just a bit. But all in all, wasn't a bad game. It wasn't a bad tournament matchup. Jose Alvarado's team, I think that was Team Powell or Team Gasol. They ended up winning. It was him, Scotty Barnes. It's another kid. Looks like it. Like a lot of the rookies, and I'll be 100% honest with saying this. A lot of the rookies and a lot of the sophomores, some of these guys I haven't seen in like an eternity as far as playing basketball because you just don't get to see them very often. So it's just one of those like adjustments of the game as time progresses. Moving forward to Saturday, before talking about the All-Star game, I will give props to, and hopefully he's okay with me saying this, one of my former coworkers, TJ Barnes. Congrats on making the Arlington team for the XFL. The XFL season started yesterday, so I did watch some of his gameplay and got to see him kind of get to it. And he's playing for the Arlington team. I forgot the team's name, but they played a 3:00 game. So they actually did an interview with him talking. So it's pretty cool to experience that for what it was worth. Saturday night, everyone had questions about what was gonna go down. To say what I was saying without giving anything massive, for the skills challenge, the Antetokounmpo team was interesting because Giannis couldn't play, so Drew Holiday played in place of. They were able to do most of the drills pretty well. The rookie squad was pretty fast and pretty good at what they were doing. Utah, the home team, Utah ended up winning. It was with Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, and I forgot the other kid's name, but they were all playing on the same team, and they won. Obviously, they all played for Utah. So they were able to, the first round was basically you would have to do a chest pass into a tube. Then you would have to go around these cones or like these supposed individuals. Then as you're going around the third spot, there's a car. You have to go around the car and kind of from the right side of the paint, top of the paint near the free throw line. You have to try and go for a teardrop or take a shot. If you miss it, you get two more opportunities to take that shot. And then from there, if you miss them, it's fine. Then you go to the 3-point line, and I think you get 2 opportunities there. And then you finish up with a sprint to get the other ball and then make a layup. And after you make the layup, you pass to your next teammate. That was the first round. Second round was passing based. And pretty much how they did it was you had to pass, each person had to pass at a different station. There were 3 stations. You had to pass at each station, every possession. So if you wanted to, you could ping pong back and forth between. They were literally in 3 separate ones. If you were on the first one, you can go to the second one, and if you want to go to the second one, you can go to the third one. You just wanted to make sure that the person was never on the same station twice, and you had to collect as many points. Each one of them had different point values. So just getting those to drop was important. And then the final contest probably was the funniest because and I'm gonna talk about this because it's important to address. The NBA is known for having a high volume of shooters. The problem is the NBA, everybody's not as good of a shooter, a good of a scorer in the shooting category. And what I mean by that is just because you can shoot a three versus you making a three, those are two separate entities all in and of itself. And it was very clear and very evident that a lot of guys can shoot threes, but they cannot make threes. So they would run it. There was a lot of dilemma on seeing a lot of guys trying to like hoist these long range 3-pointers that could not make them. But in the end, long story less long, Utah ended up winning. So we go from the skills challenge to the 3-point shootout. 3-point shootout, it was Tyrese, Halliburton, who was a first-time rookie, Buddy Hield, and Dame Dollar. Those were your three finalists who ended up going to the finals, and then from there, it was pretty much the Dame Lillard show. Especially in the final round, he was able to hit both of the, and I want to make sure I get this right, it was not Sprite, it was not Sun-Dry, it's some new brand that just came out. I hadn't even heard of this brand before, but it's a new drink that is out now, and that's who they pretty much were the sponsor of the game. And I was like, interesting. So they would actually sponsor other 3-point shootout altogether. But it was Dame's to win, and it was cool because he got like a custom made Weber State jersey that he wore. That had like his nickname Dollar on the back. I thought that was pretty dope. So we got to see a good run for the 3-point shootout. Then the dunk contest. Everyone thought the dunk contest was going to be trash. It wasn't going to be it. It was just a struggle. Everyone did the best that they were able to get done with dunks. Now, let me make sure I say this because I want to be clear with what I'm about to say. Anyone who's everyone has seen the dunk contest evolve or develop over a 30 to 40 year time period, right? The reason why I'm starting with that and the reason why that is relevant is because whether we need to acknowledge it or not, there aren't but so many dunks that you can do without there being like, it's just about getting the creativity to another level. My boy and I had this conversation, and I'm going to have this conversation because it's something that is like an unfair shake. A player can be athletic, but we pull grace or we pull the wool over our eyes as to what we see if the player is 6'9", 6'10", but they're doing dunks that we just would never see, and we look at it as, but they're tall, they should do that. We, as people who do play basketball and those who don't play basketball, can attest to there are some folks who are of certain heights that still have no athletic ability. So we have to remember how we word and verbiage those terms sometimes. And I get it because if you're looking at it as you see basketball is played at a high level, at a very fast pace, you're looking at it as guys should be able to just kind of go up there and do what they do. And I'm like, not necessarily. It's not always a walk in the park for a lot of individuals in that avenue. But the story tonight was Mac McClung. So Mac McClung is a Virginia player. He played high school ball in Virginia. I forgot his high school, but the only reason I know him very well is because the championship game that he played in, ironically, was here in Richmond at the Siegel Center. And so I bring that up because he played ball in high school. He went to Georgetown, didn't really have a good stint at Georgetown. I think him and it was another point guard, they were really battling for airtime or time on the floor. So he went to Texas Tech, had a pretty good breakout, and decided to go to the league. If my memory serves me correct, he was undrafted. Showed a little bit in summer league. Seemed like he was getting opportunities to possibly play for a team in the NBA. NBA teams really didn't give him a shot. So he's in the G League. G League, he's doing what he does. This was his coming out party because right before he before he played in this game, he had been given a two-way contract with Philadelphia. So now he's going to get to show what he's got with Philadelphia with James Harden. I think the biggest question, which is always an important factor to think of when it comes to players getting to that level or getting to that point, is him being able to get his time on the floor. Because if you're trying to get into a rotation for players who are already part of the rotation, it becomes a bigger challenge. I'm saying all that just to give kind of minimal context of where things are with that side of it. As far as the dunk contest goes, he did 4 dunks. Out of the 4 dunks, he got a 50 on 3 of them. He showed some very talented levels of dunks, even down to him jumping over one of his teammates. And I think it was his coach. Not sure who the other guy was. Might have been his coach. But he jumped over them, grabbed the ball from his teammate who had it over his head, hit the ball off the backboard, and did a reverse dunk. That's not easy to do in like, and I get, like we use the term in-game dunkers versus regular dunkers. Like one person, I know he wouldn't be able to do it now, but I always think about this every year when the dunk contest comes around. I would love to see, would have loved to see Kenny Dobbs like in his true prime in an NBA dunk contest, because he had like Springs, him, and I'll even throw the kid Springs that was on the And1 tour. Like the two of them alone, sick when it came to dunking. I love the concept that Kenyon Martin had where he was able to bring out it was a 3D printed basketball, and they showed it to the judges. The judges realized it was valid. Ironically, he got his dad to throw the ball out, and it was almost like a passing of the torch and the type of thing. The runner-up for the dunk contest, I will say his first dunk was probably my favorite because he went like he was going to attempt to try and go for a dunk and kind of missed the play he was going for. So when he dribbled back to try to go back to the 3-point line, Jose Alvarado comes and takes the ball away from him, like in his traditional way that he plays, where he's like a pesky nuisance of a defender. And so he got the steal, and then he gets the ball and throws it off the backboard for him to do like I don't know if it was a 360 windmill or 360 jam. But he did that dunk and kind of set the stage for the dunk contest. But yeah, Mac McClung ended up winning. It was good to just see him go out there and just have fun and do his thing. So huge shout out to him. Shout out to everybody who participated in the All-Star festivities for Saturday. Sunday or today, whenever you all listen to the podcast, I really can't give like a winner because we got to see who gets drafted. As you all have probably been able to tell with how I've recorded and uploaded, my record to upload times have not been like as fluid as you all would like, and there's no one to blame for that because it's not as easy to just kind of have a quick turnaround. But I will say, those who are able to listen to it, this is probably beneficial if you didn't watch it, because then you get kind of like I call it the abbreviated version without ESPN. That's my best way I can describe that. Talked about coding a little bit earlier, but I'm going to shift it back to tech. I was on the way here, and as I'm en route, I saw that there was a story or a conversation coming up related to Meta. And I'm gonna wow, my bad if y'all caught that. I will clean that up if I have to. But I saw an article, or I saw, let's before we even talk about the article, let's rewind a little bit. A couple months ago, Twitter was the talk of the town because of the fact that Elon Musk took over and everything went crazy. And what everybody projected to happen versus what actually happened became night and day. Twitter was in the process of promoting and doing Twitter Blue, but it wasn't really getting the conversation like you'd expect. But as time progressed, that changed, and eventually Twitter Blue became a newborn. And it's now being used, like a lot of individuals have Twitter Blue accounts. I'm sharing this story because, and even with me going into the Clubhouse room that I was in for the brief amount of time I was in it, they talked about this, and this is something to be aware of. There are a lot of people who are on Twitter who are verified, but they're verified either through legacy, meaning they've been on Twitter for whatever amount of time. They requested to be how can you put it? They requested to be a Blue verified Twitter user, and they were approved. And then you have everyone who's doing Twitter Blue, which is a monthly subscription. Why I'm dragging that story and why I'm talking about it in that manner is because now it seems as though Meta, aka Facebook, and Instagram are joining in. Their subscription service, as it has been stating, is going to be, well, let's unpack it because there's going to be some interesting breakdowns with this. Facebook parent company Meta is preparing to launch Twitter Blue-like subscription called Meta Verified. On Sunday morning, Mark Zuckerberg took this newly launched broadcast channel to share the news. He said the subscription service would give users a blue badge, additional impersonation protection, and direct access to customer support. This is where that part we're gonna sit with that for a minute, and then we're gonna keep going. But I want you to really listen to that, because if you've been keeping up with my podcast, you heard me talk about the customer service part or customer support. This feature is about increasing authenticity and security across our services. Adding Meta would test the subscription first in Australia and New Zealand before rolling it out to other countries. Meta Verified will cost $15 per month when users subscribe through the company apps on iOS and Android. On the web, where the App Store commissions don't apply, the service will cost $12 per month. The subscription will cover both Instagram and Facebook accounts. Let's see. So Zuckerberg put up a post that MKBHD shared saying, "Good morning. New product announcement. This week we're starting a rollout Meta Verify, a subscription service that lets you verify your account with a government ID, get a blue badge, get extra impersonation protection against accounts claiming to be you, and get direct access to customer support. This new feature is about increasing authenticity and security across our services. Meta Verified starts for $11.99, or as he said, $12 a month on the web, or $15 a month on iOS. We'll be rolling out in Australia and New Zealand this week and more countries soon. Users will need to meet certain eligibility requirements before they can sign up for Meta Verified. Specifically, the company told Engadget the subscription will be only available to users 18 or older. Meta will also require that potential subscribers have a government-issued ID that matches their profile name and photo on their Facebook or Instagram account. Once you're verified, you can't change your profile name, username, date of birth, or photo without going through the verification process again. Accounts that were verified before today's announcement due to their notability will remain verified. Alongside perks like a blue badge and increased visibility in search, Meta will provide verified subscribers with 100 free stars, a digital currency they can use to tip creators on Facebook. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Well, no, okay, it's a little bit more. The subscription also comes with access to exclusive stickers for use in stories and reels. Rumors that Meta was preparing for a trial a paid version service started to swirl at the beginning of February when reverse engineer Alessandro Paluzzi, discovered code referencing paid blue badge and identity verification. On early Sunday morning, social media consultant and former Next Web reporter Matt Navarra found that Meta had published an Instagram support page detailing the subscription, only to later take it down before Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram post. If getting this is going to get you one step closer to their, how can I go into this? If this gets you a step closer to getting the customer support you need, as well as getting the proper handle on profiles and reducing as many bots that come up for a lot of people, I can see this working. I can see people investing in this and seeing it as a good markup. Does everyone need to have it? Hit or miss. It's ironic because me personally hitting that wall of that point where I'm very borderline to dropping back from the social media landscape and diving more into the minimalist / hey, let's talk to people again world. I don't see this as like a big deal. I happened to get the announcement and the information related to this from, like I said, on the Clubhouse room where they were kind of getting into it and talking about it. And the article was just sitting there right at the top when you open it. And so I opened it, and it's the article that I just read. And, you're hearing different people talk about it, and they got into some very key topics or key thoughts about it. For instance, one of the biggest things is the cost of data, or how we feel like we shouldn't give people our data. One person threw the most random information in saying, because I have an 850 credit score, it's helping me to be able to use platforms online or something. And it's how you say things or what you say that has to do with what you're sharing or selling or promoting that then draws about this like eye-opening aha moment. Like, did you really need to, was that really relevant to share with what you're addressing? Like, some people do value their data. Some people are very protective of their data. Some people will use different aliases. Some people have gone as far as not using or being on social media for different platforms. And I 100% get it. The bigger and the more eye-opening challenge of it all is, even if you decide, hey, I'm going to deactivate my account, or hey, I'm going to close it down and I'm never making another page, they still have the information. It's not like the information gets disintegrated and never gets used again. It just becomes this complicated process of, to give context and why I say it the way that I'm saying it. I haven't had my, the initial page that I had on Facebook. I think that's been now over 2 years ago that I went through all that. I will never be allowed to make a profile using that email address ever again, because they have that email listed probably on like a blacklist. It's probably blacklisted. The second account that I made, blacklisted, because they were associated. The account I have now, I'm able to maintain just on blind faith, but on the same token, I'm also like, the mood I'm in and the space I'm in, if it goes, it goes. Only because there really isn't as much space to promote and to build like it was when they first made these platforms. And it's kind of, I'm laughing at this now, but it's like hard when you have someone experiencing this and they don't understand it. I had someone who added me to a group. I was a little interactive in the group at first, but then I kind of just dissipated and just disappeared. Well, when I left the group, I got re-added back by another admin, and I'm just like, yeah, it's not the people running it. It's just, I wasn't active in the group and really had any interest or engagement with it. Like, I went through some of my groups the other day and I was like, I'm almost ready to just cut myself down to just what I use, which is the men's health group or the men's mental group, the sports group, and the music escape haven. Like, between those three groups, those are the only three groups that I'm realistically pretty active with. Like the rest of them, I joined, but it's like I don't have that same thrill and passion for them from when I first like was in it, because now my distance is kind of backed off. And somebody said this on Instagram, and I'm 100% in agreement with it. You're going through people's personal, like you'll go to someone's page, you'll see like different photos that they put, and if they got like a set of photos put together, you could be scrolling through, and in the middle of their actual photos, it will be an advertisement. And it's like, are the brands really getting that desperate? And obviously the answer is yes, but as a consumer of this application, do I want to be that frozen? Like, it's literally had me to the point where all I realistically want to use is TikTok and LinkedIn. Like, that's really all I want to. I'm to the point, and it's probably going to sound crazy, but I'm being 100% honest. I'm in a space and in a mood where I would literally go back to Snapchat again. That's how over it I am. Because, like, at least on Snapchat, I knew what it was. I knew what it was about. Like, I was okay with what Instagram did when it was like, okay, you got music. We don't want you to have music in your videos. So and to go back to what I was talking about at the beginning, coding development. Coders and developers had to go in and change things to adjust it according to what's beneficial, not for the consumer, but for the stakeholders, for the brand, for the investors. Anyone that's invested in investors / stakeholders, that's what's going to be the more important factor. The consumer matters, don't get me wrong, but the consumer has like a very limited grip on everything because you're controlled by what the application does. Because if these apps decide tomorrow, and here's what makes this so eye-opening, right? A lot of people are going to pay those subscriptions. A lot of people are paying the subscription on Twitter. If they decide to close down tomorrow, you don't get that money back. And if you think of how many people are actively on Twitter with Twitter Blue accounts to get a blue check, you think of how many people, when they officially go live, are going to want to be Instagram live, Instagram verified or Meta verified or Facebook verified, whatever. The level that you're going to reach to get to that verification is going to be much bigger than you actually enjoying the platform. And it's not me sitting here saying that, I think it's trash, don't do it. Do what's in your best interest, but just be aware of what comes with what you're doing. So that article, like I said, I read it in its entirety, but I will put it in the show notes if you want to read it, get any feedback, or get some thoughts on it personally. Pass the message, and then we get up out of here. Don't lower. You know what? I'm tripping. I'm making this way too complicated. Stop people pleasing. We do things to seek approval and to please other people. We are not doing it for ourselves. Shit gotta change. And the reason I'm saying it with that emphasis and with that feeling is because for the longest time, I've spent a lot of energy, and I talked about this a little bit earlier on, but I'm saying this with emphasis now. Seeking approval from outside is not going to get you to do what you need to do inside. Once I finish this recording, I got a couple of question and answers I need to do to break down where I'm at and what I'm doing and how do I feel. Am I happy with me? Am I my own best friend? Would I take myself out on a date? Like, it was questions that I really had to sit with and be like, dang, this is actually some valid information that I need to think about. Do I need to spend, and like my biggest thing lately has been learning, do I need to spend as much energy being so task oriented, or should I just be focused on getting what I need to get done and then letting what I completed speak for itself? And usually it is just letting what I do get done, and then the product is in the pudding. So, message that I'm passing along, do it for you. Do not, and I repeat, do not do it for other people. If you're doing it to show off and think it's something that you gotta like make things look pretty and prancy and fancy and all that, you're doing it wrong. You're definitely doing it wrong. It's not saying that it's gonna be right if you do it the other way, but that option alone ain't gonna be it. If you're sitting here, like I've listened to Eric Thomas, which I have his book. If you haven't read it or haven't ordered a copy, I would definitely buy a copy of that book. It's a dope book. But he talks about it. He's saying, you're saying you want to go to the NBA, not playing like that. Like, you got to be able to, like, you have to. Dang, it just hit me in the midst of me talking about it. And this is a message to you all, but this is also me giving myself some reality with this. For the last 3 to 5 years, I've been managing a business as an LLC, as a graphic designer and a web designer. My effort in being a graphic designer and a web designer have not been up to par. Looking at others who are business owners with a graphic and web design business, the effort that they're putting in is endless compared to the minimal effort that I'm not putting in. And the crazy part is the skill sets are probably parallel, if not equal. I know that's the same wording determined, but we're in the same boat. I've always, for the longest time, always said that I'm a minimalist designer, but the reality is I've just found when designing, I make designing simple and stress-free because it's worked. But all of that being said, if I'm going to do web design or if I'm going to do graphic design, I got to eat, sleep, and breathe it. I can't eat, sleep, and breathe social media. I can't eat, sleep, and breathe other people's complaints and other people's issues when I got my own issues. That puts the priorities out of whack and off the radar. So I will end with this and we will wrap it up. Put the effort into you and do it for you. Don't do it for everybody else. If you feel like it's something you need to do, something you need to get it because you need to get it, not because you're trying to prove something to somebody. Like the coding that I've been learning and that I'm going to learn, because I'm going to still work on more coding tonight. But the coding that I'm learning this for myself. I'm not learning this for somebody else. Like there's no benefit in me doing it to prove to somebody else that I can do something. This is for me personally to say I officially know how to insert code here or insert term here. So yeah, that's the message for today. I hope y'all have an amazing Sunday, amazing week. I'm saying Sunday, but you'll probably hear this podcast on like a Wednesday or Thursday. If I had to take a guess or a stab in the dark, it will probably be uploaded by Thursday. And the only reason I'm saying it is because that's going to probably be the one day that I have open with some sanity. Because by then I'll be in a much more calm and chill state. Like the last few days I've been on 10, but I've been on 10 because I've just really been thinking about like the next steps, the next level, the next chapter, what's coming. And because of that, it's been putting me in a push to not get what I need to do and getting everything taken care of. So that's all I got. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Proud of y'all. Hopefully you're proud of me. And if not, it's no big deal because I'm proud of me. So that's all that matters. I love me. I care about me. I know my worth. I know my value. I know my table. I know my space. Park Place and Boardwalk have nothing on me. All right, y'all. Catch y'all next time. Peace. Another episode is completed. Thank you all for listening. If you want to check out the podcast, you can go to buzzsprout.com. If you're looking to do podcasts, you can go to buzzsprout.com. To get to my podcast, you'll go to the pastbtpod.buzzsprout.com. If you're looking at getting a microphone, I always suggest getting the Blue Yeti X. That is the microphone that I use. If you're starting off and you need something more affordable, Samson Meteor, it's a worthwhile investment. And there are other microphones that are going to be simple enough. My big suggestion I tell everyone whenever looking for a microphone, be sure that your microphone has the ability to have you listen to your audio or listen to yourself as you're talking. It will make a big difference in your editing and your podcast. Also, most importantly, and I tell people this is a tip offline, but I'm giving this in the final listen or at the end of the show. Drink water while recording, and also just drink water in general. But drink water while you're recording, and the reason why, you'll be surprised. All right, see y'all on the next show.